Grahame, very much looking forward to hearing the new commission, This Faithful Life. But this isn't the first time that you've worked with Sir Karl Jenkins.
No, that's right. In fact, Karl was the first classical composer I worked with. This was back in 2003 when the Wales Millennium Centre was being built. And I was commissioned to write a poem to mark the laying of the foundation stone of the Wales Millennium Centre. Wow. And when Karl was later commissioned to do a piece for the opening of the centre itself, he used the words of that poem along with works by some other poets as well in the performance which was performed on the actual night of the opening of the centre. So yes, we go back a long way. That's nearly 20 years ago.
Nearly 20. So in that case, he took words that you'd already written. Is that the way it worked, or did you sort of work back and forth a little bit as well?
No, he used the words I'd already written for the occasion of the laying of the foundation stone and set those to music that night. It was called a piece called Grey, and I remember it was recorded on an album afterwards, and that was the beginning of our collaboration.
Okay, so this is slightly different then. So This Faithful Life, you were tasked with coming up with a new set of words that Karl was then going to. He knew that he was going to have to set them to music. Was that a different experience than just writing a poem?
You're quite right, because the first piece I did for him 20 years ago, that was a poem not intended to be set to music. These words for This Faithful Life were explicitly written to be set to music. Now, I've learned a lot in the intervening years about what works with audiences. I know you'll understand this much better than I will from your own experience. But I've learned over the years what works well with audiences, and the aim always is to get the words to be understood by the heart at first reading, at first hearing. Yes. So rather than having to be decoded, reflected upon, or somehow deciphered, they should affect the hearer the first time they hear it without them really knowing why.
So were you given a title, or did you come up with a title as well? Because it's very fitting. When we set out on this journey of a concert, it was a Platinum Jubilee celebration concert, although I suppose we all knew that the Queen was very mature in years and maybe she wouldn't be with us. So that's a delicate thing to put to an artist to write, but also for an artist to come up with words that would work in both sort of settings. How difficult was that?
Not easy at all. There have been so many different artistic reflections on the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Of course, it's an extraordinary, unprecedented reign. And the challenge was to find something new, one could say, about it. For me, the heart of the piece was the reflection that the Queen's life of service and devotion of 70 years, and really lifelong devotion that she's shown to this country and to its welfare, actually makes one reflect about what it is about this country that could inspire such devotion. So in some ways, I think the feeling, the emotion that people have felt about the Queen, both during her life and after her passing, is, yes, it's because of her own exemplary life, but it also makes them reflect perhaps on what kind of society, what kind of country could have inspired such loyalty. So that for me was the heart of the poem, was that thought as to what does this say about our country, that someone could love it and serve it for their entire and very long life.
Are we allowed, obviously it's the concert will have its premiere with the music, but I suppose as a piece of writing, it wouldn't do any harm to hear a little bit of it now. Would that be okay, This Faithful Life?
Gladly. This faithful life. Through all the years that faith has graced the throne, duty has deepened, gratitude has grown. What land could have inspired this faithful life, whose greatness made us wonder at our own? This faithful life, this faithful life. What land could have inspired this faithful life, whose greatness made us wonder at our own? through coming years, from first light to farewell, the legends that we learn, the tales we tell, can have no greater lesson than this life, no story of a promise kept so well.
Have you heard it yet? Have you heard it with the music yet?
No, I haven't. I'm very much looking forward to doing so. Sir Karl's work is always affecting, magnificent, really quite incomparable. So I will be thrilled to hear the actual performance itself.
For the festival, this is the first concert in many years. It's a first sort of stepping back into the water of putting concerts on without sort of getting into too much financial risk, because the world has changed. Financing of the arts has changed as well. COVID was difficult for many people, but for a poet, was it I wouldn't say it's a godsend, that would be the wrong way of looking at it. But, you work quite a lot on your own anyway. Not having those distractions of having to go here, there and everywhere, did it lead to a lot of work?
Well, it led to a lot of commissions, actually. I mean, it prompted a period of reflection on this extraordinary circumstance which had come to us, the troubling, tragic, disruptive experience which had come to our entire society. And of course, artists, organisations, individuals wanted to respond to and reflect on that. So actually, quite a few people requested words for occasions. On one occasion, this was an arts festival in Kent, wanted words to accompany Fauré's Requiem. Mm-hmm. So a sequence of poems to intersperse the movements of Fauré's Requiem. So that piece I composed. And in that particular case, they wanted to reflect on the losses which people had experienced during COVID. And of course, that's wonderful, very well-known music, but new words to try and reflect on the experience of loss in what is undoubtedly a society where the language of religion no longer carries the same meaning for as many people as it used to.
Mm. And of course, with the change in circumstances, we actually have Fauré's Requiem as the centrepiece of our second half of the concert. So that's nice. Very appropriate. Before you go, then, obviously we're looking forward to hearing it with you on Saturday night, the 29th of October at the Brangwyn Hall. It'll be a wonderful evening, a wonderful celebration and commemoration of the life of Her Majesty the Queen. What else are you working on at the moment? Because obviously you're an academic as well as being a poet and this and that and the other. So what else are you working on?
Sure. Well, I've just had the first two performances of an opera which I wrote with Paul Mealer, with whom I've collaborated a great deal. And that is a community opera called Gellet. The story of Gellet, the faithful hound.
Yes. So
that was performed a few weeks ago in St Asaph Cathedral, in Welsh in the afternoon and English in the evening. So that is out. That was very exciting. And in a few weeks' time, I've got a piece called Gorau Awen Gwirionedd, which is a commission for the University of Wales, Trinity St David, to mark their bicentenary. Fantastic. And that will be performed in Lampeter in November. So I've got that to look forward to as well, and other things coming up in the new year as well.
Fantastic.
So keeping busy.
Certainly are. Well, we're very grateful that you took up the commission of this faithful life. We much appreciate your time, and we're all looking forward to hearing it, this very special concert. Thank you very much indeed, Grahame.
Thank you. Diolch yn fawr.